Let me tell you a tale of a city unlike any other. A place where emperors lived like gods, where the stench of urine masked the sweet scent of roses, where life was a gamble in death, a frequent visitor. Welcome to my humble abode. You must be weary from your travels. Kuh! Pull up a chair by the fire and let me transport you back in time. Could! The year's 1880, and we find ourselves in London. Gaslights flicker, casting long shadows on the cobblestone streets below. Ah! And there you see him, a solitary traveler making his way home. His name is Charles, and he's just returned from a long journey to the Eternal City. You see, Charles was an architect, one of many who descended upon Rome, eager to unearth its long-lost secrets. He'd marveled at the Colosseum, stood in awe before the Pantheon, and traced the outlines of emperors long dead. But it was the ordinary that captivated him the most, the everyday life of the city that had echoed through the ages. Now, with a notebook in hand, Charles sought to capture not just the grandeur, but the grit of Rome. He'd seen the grand palaces, but it was the tenement homes that held his attention. Homes where families huddled together in dim oil lamplight, where the air hung heavy with the scent of stale waste and chamber pots. He noted how the wealthier folk lived, their homes filled with mosaic floors and frescoed walls. A stark contrast to the mud and thatch abodes of the poor. He observed the bustling marketplaces, the clatter of carts, the haggling of merchants, and the ceaseless flow of humanity. And then there were the taverns, smoky, dimly lit places filled with soldiers and sailors spinning tales of daring exploits in far-off lands. It was a microcosm of the world, this ancient Rome, and Charles was determined to capture it all. But as he sat by his fire, his thoughts drifted to the darker side of the city, to the squalor and the struggle, to the violence and death that lurked in the shadows. Rome wasn't just a monument to human achievement. It was a place where life was cheap and hope even cheaper. He thought of the slaves, toiling under the scorching sun, building the very monuments that made Rome so grand. He saw the beggars, their hands outstretched, hoping for a crust of bread. He heard the cries of the hawkers, the moans of the chariot horses. Bah! And the distant rumble of discontent that threatened to shake the foundations of the empire. Rome had been a living, breathing entity, a place where fortunes were made and lost, where heroes were celebrated and villains condemned, where love bloomed and withered, and where life itself was a constant negotiation with the powers that be. It was a city of contrasts, of opulence and destitution, of triumph and tragedy. And Charles realized that capturing its essence meant acknowledging all of its facets. The grandeur, yes, but also the grime, the sweat, the blood, and the tears. Only then could anyone truly understand the heartbeat of ancient Rome. As the night deepened and the fire began to die down, Charles felt a sense of peace. He knew that his journey was far from over, that he had merely scratched the surface of this ancient city's soul. But for now, he had found a piece of Rome within these four walls, a reminder that beneath the marble and the myth, there beat a heart of unyielding humanity. And with that, our tale for tonight comes to an end. We hope you enjoyed this journey back in time to the heart of ancient Rome. If you did, please don't forget to show your support. Your likes and comments are our guiding stars, helping us navigate the vast universe of history and bring more tales to life. So, as the night winds down and you prepare for bed, let the echoes of ancient Rome resonate in your dreams. Sleep well, dear travelers. And until next time, keep an ear out for the whispers of history. They're calling you to adventure. Gun. Welcome to my channel. What does it feel like to be poor in ancient Rome? How would someone living in poverty experience daily life in the heart of the Roman Empire? What were the sights, sounds, smells, and textures that defined their existence? Imagine, for a moment, waking up not to the gentle hum of your modern home, but to the cacophony of a first-century Roman insula. 'Tis your home, a multi-story apartment block, often shoddily constructed, rising precariously from the crowded streets. Good! The sun, if it penetrates the narrow alleys at all, offers little warmth in the early hours. You might stir on a simple pallet, perhaps shared with several family members, the air around you thick with the scent of damp earth, stale cooking, and the pervasive musk of unwashed could. Your daily routine, if you are a common laborer or a struggling artisan, begins long before dawn. There is no running water in your apartment, nor are there private latrines. Your first task might be to navigate the dark, slippery stairs, perhaps 6 or 7 flights down, to reach the communal fountain or a public well in the street below. Picture the scene. A jostling crowd, the clatter of ceramic amphorae, and the murmur of early morning chatter. Each drop of water must be carried back, often uphill, a heavy burden for tired arms. This isn't just a chore. It's a constant, physically demanding necessity, shaping the very rhythm of your life. Gus. As you step out into the street, the full sensory assault of ancient Rome envelops you. Could. The narrow vicoli, or alleys, are already teeming with life. Could. Shopkeepers are raising their wooden shutters, revealing meager wares. Street vendors cry out their offerings. Hot beans, bread, cheap wine. The air, beyond the damp earth, carries the sharp tang of animal waste. Coo, the sweet, cloying scent of refuse, and the occasional whiff of smoke from countless small fires. This is a city without organized waste collection as we know it, so be mindful where you step. Good. Discarded food, broken pottery, and worse, often litter the pathways. Movement through the city is a chaotic dance. Horse-drawn carts, laden with goods, rumble and creak, their solid wheels jarring over the uneven cobblestones. Pedestrians jostle for space, dodging the occasional runaway animal or the splash from a leaky water carrier. There are no traffic laws, no politkeywes, just the relentless forward momentum of thousands of lives intertwined. Q, you might be heading to the forum to seek casual labor, or to a workshop where you are indentured, perhaps to a public bathhouse. Bull! Or simply to find the cheapest food for your family. Each journey is an exercise in vigilance and patience. Food itself is a constant concern. Bull! For the urban poor, the diet is largely grain-based, supplemented by cheap vegetables and, if fortune favors you, a sliver of dried fish or cheese. Meat is a luxury, rarely seen on your table. Good. You might queue for hours at one of the bakeries or receive a dole of grain from the state, if you are eligible. Hunger. Pangs are a familiar companion, a dull ache that reminds you of your precarious existence. The threat of disease hangs over every breath. Good. Without modern understanding of hygiene, illnesses sweep through the crowded insulae with terrifying speed. Cough, a fever, a simple cut. Any of these could quickly escalate into a life-threatening condition. Infant mortality is tragically high, and few can expect to live to old age. Every sniffle is a quiet source of anxiety, every ache a reminder of vulnerability. Gun. And then there is the constant specter of fire. Could. Your insula, built quickly and cheaply, is often a tinderbox of wooden beams and plaster. Coup. A single cooking fire, a dropped lamp, or a careless neighbor could ignite a blaze that sweeps through entire blocks, leaving thousands homeless in mere hours. Good. The fear is palpable, a silent companion in the crowded darkness of your nights. So imagine this existence. A life defined by hard labor, by the constant search for sustenance and clean water, by the pervasive smells and sounds of a bustling, unsanitized city, and by the ever-present threat of disease, crime, and fire. This was the lived reality for the vast majority of Rome's inhabitants. A stark contrast to the grand narratives of emperors and gladiators. It was a life of unending struggle, where simply surviving each day was, in itself, a profound triumph. Thank you for watching. Goo! If you enjoyed this immersive experience, don't forget to show your support. Your engagement helps us bring history to life for everyone. Dive deeper into our historical tales and explore more of ancient Rome. Let us know in the comments what other historical periods you'd like us to explore. It's easy to look at great works of art and marvel at their beauty, their skill, or their historical importance. Could the Colosseum, Pantheon, or David all immediately spring to mind as iconic achievements of the past? Could. However, amid such opulence, it's vital to remember that greatness isn't always apparent amidst the rubble of ruins or in objects deemed too simple to be worthy of notice. Gah! That's why in this series, we take a closer look at items in museum collections that, while sometimes overlooked, are no less significant for being humble. Gig! From everyday objects to artistic Could. Each artifact tells a story of the people who made them and the societies they lived in. And together they weave a richer, more resonant tapestry of the past. So, let us embark on this journey and see. Could. What stories await us in the dusty shelves and dimly lit display cases of our world-s museums? Crassus eventually triumphed over Spartacus, but his actions would forever alter Rome's relationship with its enslaved population. Let's talk about the man who became famous for conquering Spartacus and his rebellion. Marcus Licinius Crassus was a Roman statesman and general who played a significant role in ending the Third Servile War, the slave revolt led by Spartacus. Crassus was born into an equestrian family in 119 BCE and rose to prominence during the late Roman Republic. Could he? Amassed a considerable fortune through his successful business activities and real estate investments in Rome. Could. His wealth enabled him to fund his political campaigns and gain influence in Roman politics. Could. In 74 BCE, Crassus was appointed praetor, the second highest magistrate in Rome, and given command of the Roman forces in southern Italy to put down the slave revolt led by Spartacus. Crassus adopted a scorched earth policy, destroying crops and killing livestock to deny sustenance to the rebels and their supporters. Could. He also used psychological warfare to demoralize Spartacus's army, parading captured rebels in chains through Roman cities and executing hostages to remind the slaves of their vulnerability. Crassus's military strategy was methodical and brutal. He employed standard Roman military tactics and formations, as well as innovative strategies such as feigning retreats to lure the rebels into traps. He also used cavalry effectively to break through enemy lines and pursue fleeing soldiers. Crassus' ruthlessness and willingness to use underhanded tactics alienated many Romans who saw him as a tyrant and power-hungry. Could, however, despite the controversy surrounding his methods, Crassus was successful in putting down the revolt and crushing Spartacus's army. His victory was a major propaganda victory for Rome and contributed to his rise to the pinnacle of Roman power. After returning to Rome as a triumphator, highest honor a general could receive, Crassus entered into a political alliance with Pompey and Caesar, forming the First Triumvirate, a triumvirate of 3 rulers who dominated Roman politics for years. The end of Spartacus's rebellion marked a turning point in Roman history. The revolt had exposed the vulnerability of Roman society and the brutality of slavery, prompting calls for reform and moderation. However, Crassus' ruthless tactics and his failure to address the underlying causes of the revolt could contributed to the outbreak of new slave rebellions in the following decades. Con. Despite his failure to create lasting change, Crassus remains a controversial figure in Roman history. Seen by some as a brutal tyrant and by others as a shrewd politician and brilliant general, could his legacy serve as a reminder of the complexities of power and the challenges of achieving true greatness in a world consumed by ambition? What do you think of Crassus? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like, share, and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching. Now let's delve into a world of luxury and power. Lives of the elite in ancient Rome. A world where lavished feasts were commonplace and gladiators were both revered and reviled. Welcome back to life in ancient Rome. Our previous episode left off with a look at the burning of Rome in 64 AD. A catastrophic event that reshaped the city and its social dynamics. Now let us journey into the opulent lives of the Roman nobility, as experienced by one of Nero's victims. A former senator named Petronius. As a member of the Roman Senate, Petronius was considered a well-to-do individual. Cud's household boasted 30 slaves, and upon his death, he bequeathed his possessions with a value exceeding 5 million a staggering sum equivalent to about $15 million in modern currency. Petronius resided in a luxurious mansion in the heart of Rome. These palatial homes were detached and surrounded by expansive gardens and courtyards. The extravagance extended to the dining room, where the aroma of roasting meats mingled with perfumes from the east. Slaves would serve Petronius and his guests on silver plates and goblets, while musicians entertained with lyrical songs. For the wealthy Romans, food was more than sustenance. It was a spectacle. Petronius often hosted feasts, inviting 8 to 10 friends. These gatherings were not merely social events. They were displays of wealth and power. During such feasts, the consumption of exotic foods was a symbol of one's status. Foods like flamingo, nightingale, and other delicacies imported from distant lands were highly prized. The menu was a carefully curated selection to impress the guests. There were appetizers, main courses, desserts, all accompanied by fine wine. The centerpiece of the feast was often a display of wild animals brought in for the entertainment of the guests. And while this might seem barbaric to us now, it was common practice among the Roman elite. Wild animals, like lions, tigers, bears, leopards, elephants, giraffes, camels, and even venomous snakes were captured and transported for these feasts. They were kept in specially designed cages until it was time to unleash them into the audience at the gladiator games. This display of exotic fauna was a symbol of wealth and power. It showcased the host's ability to acquire rare and dangerous creatures from far-flung corners of the empire. Now, speaking of the gladiator games, Petronius had tickets for him and his friends to attend. He described these events as a spectacle of violence, death, and bloodlust. Such spectacles were held in the Colosseum, a massive amphitheater that could accommodate up to 80,000 spectators. Here, gladiators from all over the empire came to fight to the death, or for their amusement. These men were often slaves or prisoners of war, forced to fight for the pleasure of the crowds. Despite the brutality, the Colosseum was a marvel of Roman engineering. Its design allowed for elaborate staging of battles, with moving platforms, fountains, and trapdoors. As we wrap up our tale of life in ancient Rome, remember that Petronius' story, though fictionalized, offers a compelling glimpse into the world of the Roman elite. The lavish feasts, the exotic foods, the animal spectacles, and the gladiator games were not just accounts of wealth and power. They were experiences that shaped the culture and society of ancient Rome. In the heart of this imperial city, life was a grand spectacle, A mixture of indulgence and brutality that continues to fascinate us today. Okay? Have you ever attended a gladiator game or seen a Hollywood production of one? How did you feel witnessing such brutality in fiction? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Gee, comments help us make better videos. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. Together, let's keep learning. If you liked this video, click like and subscribe so you never miss out on new content. Bell. A wealthy Roman senator in the 1st or 2nd century CE did not wake up early. His slaves would ensure that he had a leisurely start to his day, gently rousing him when it was time to rise. The exact time would vary depending on the season and his personal preferences, but it was usually late morning. Cudi would awaken not in a cramped insula, but in a luxurious domus, a sprawling townhouse nestled on one of Rome's more elevated and quieter hills. His bedroom would be large, richly decorated and well supplied with comfortable bedding. A slave would bring water from the aqueduct to wash his hands and face, while another would help him bathe. The senator would dress in a white linen tunic and a woolen toga, the latter being a garment reserved for the elite classes. After dressing, the senator would likely retire to his atrium for breakfast, which would be surprisingly light. It might consist of bread dipped in oil, perhaps some fruit or olives. Wine, both for drinking and for cleaning, would also be present. While enjoying his breakfast, he would read letters brought to him by his secretary, deal with some paperwork, and direct his slaves on various tasks. The morning would belong to the salutatio, a Roman tradition of receiving visitors. As a senator, he had clients, freedmen, and other senators who would come to his house to ask for his advice or help. This was an essential part of Roman politics and a means of maintaining power and influence. During the salutatio, the senator would listen to petitioners and either grant their requests or offer what help he could. Would also meet with his own freedmen and slaves, ensuring that everything was functioning smoothly. Once the salutatio was over, the senator's day could go in many directions. If the Senate was in session, he would travel there to debate and vote on laws and other matters of the Republic. If not, he might visit the forum to transact business, attend to legal matters, or make deals. In the afternoon, he could visit the baths, not for hygienic reasons, as those were taken care of by his slaves, but as a social event. The Roman elite frequented the public baths to relax, exercise, and socialize. Finally, the evening would be spent at a cena, a lavish dinner party, either at his home or that of another elite Roman. Let's imagine a wealthy Roman senator's life in the 1st or 2nd century CE. He lives in a spacious domus on the Palatine Hill, perfectly capturing the essence of Roman opulence and power. His house is adorned with beautiful marble statues and intricate mosaics reflecting his high social status and refined taste. Slaves serve him with the finest food and wine, and he spends his time engaging in politics, intellectual pursuits, and social events. In his role as a senator, he enjoys immense power and influence, shaping laws and policies that affect the vast Roman Empire. He attends the Senate meetings in the Grand Curia Square. He debates and votes on crucial matters. Interacts with other influential senators and keeps a close eye on the actions of the emperor. Outside of politics, he cultivates an image of refinement and sophistication. He enjoys reading scrolls and engages in philosophical discussions, showcasing his intellectual interests. He frequents the luxurious public baths, not for hygiene, but for leisure and networking. He also throws magnificent dinner parties, inviting fellow senators, aristocrats, and influential figures from various walks of life. During these gatherings, He reclines on cushioned couches, indulges in delectable cuisine and fine wines, and engages in lively conversations about politics, literature, and current events. Music and poetry performances add to the refined atmosphere, creating an aura of elegance and cultural appreciation. But beneath this veneer of luxury and power, the senator faces his own unique set of challenges. He constantly strives to maintain his social standing and protect his interests in a world of shifting alliances and potential rivals. He navigates the complexities of Roman politics with caution, ensuring that his actions do not draw the ire of powerful emperors or influential factions. The senator's life, while seemingly glamorous and privileged, is a world of intricate social niceties, power struggles, and the constant pressure to uphold his prestigious lifestyle. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.